Heated gear 101. Let's talk about that. Let's get cracking. Good moto morning. Welcome to another episode of Kraken's Garage. I'm your host, Eric, and today we're going to talk about heated gear. In this particular case, hardwired heated gear. I'll do a separate video on battery heated gear, as that deserves its own spotlight to discuss the pros and cons of that particular venue. But I've been using heated gear for about 30 years, and we'll talk about what has worked for me and what it has not. And we'll talk about what things to look for when you're shopping for heated gear. So let's get cracking. Those of us that do not have heated gear tend to just layer up or down, and I'll share with you some of the items that I use. First is, this is out of a Revit jacket, and this is the zip out liner that attaches inside the jacket. Basically have some microfiber filling inside there that helps retain the heat core. That's my first line of defense. My second line of defense to stay warm is a base layer. Think of long johns that are designed specifically for motorcyclists with wind blockage and help keep your core warm. So, highly recommend these. Next line of defense is a motorcycle designed fleece top. Should have a drawstring to suck it in around your waist so you don't get any wind up your back, and be a good thick fleece. It's an excellent choice for keeping you warm. And then lastly, there's the old standby, which is down-filled jacket or vest. These do a wonderful job, but they absolutely fail if they get moist or wet. So those are my standard issue items that I use to stay warm when I'm not using heated gear. Now you can layer up and layer down accordingly to how cold you get. The issue with layering up and down and using all these different variants that I'm using is keeping the heat inside. If you're riding long enough and fast enough, wind chill factor will cool the body, causing the trapped heat to dissipate. That's a fact. Eventually your core body is not going to be able to retain that heat, and the outside will get through all those base layers that you're wearing. Therein lies the problem. So here, enter in your next line of defense, and that's heated gear. The challenge there is when you wear your outer jacket on it and you have that much gear going on in layers, you have to allow a larger size jacket. So in the warmer weather, when you pull it all out, typically your jacket shell that contains the armor is going to be too large. And that provides a bit of a safety hazard, in my opinion, in the event of an off and it's summertime or warm weather and you're not wearing all of these layers, you're going to get fishing around of those protective armor pieces because the jacket's too oversized. So you have to pick and choose wisely on the direction you want to go. And that's part of what we're going to cover today on why the heated gear might be your better choice. Now, I briefly talked about battery operated heated gear, and I'll do a separate video on that. But fact is, I went riding today. I'll post a picture up here. It was 32 degrees when I left, right cold. All I did was wear my t-shirt, this very t-shirt right here. No, not this outer shell. I'm in my garage and it's chilly in here. I just wore the t-shirt and I put on my heated jacket and off I went, and I was roasty toasty. Let's clear up a few myths regarding heated gear. No one uses copper to make the heating elements in their gear by today's standards. Now, they will use copper wire to solder to the elements that are in your heated gear. With all that wiring going on in your heated jacket, can you wash a heated jacket? The answer is yes. I do not recommend putting it in your washing machine and dryer. It will take a beating. Wash it in your sink, use some Woolite, rinse it out thoroughly, hang it up to dry, air dry, and you're good to go. And that goes pretty much for all heated gear. Next, when you're talking about wattage and you're comparing heated gear, most manufacturers will overplay their hand. And what I mean by that is they'll state 105 watts at 13.8 volts. Most heated gear, let's say you pull up at a stoplight, is only going to be pulling about 12.8 volts. As I said, about 90 watts for a heated liner jacket. Don't be confused by the wattage that they're stating. You need to talk about what is the wattage that is pulling at, say, idle at a stoplight versus going down the road at 60 miles an hour. There is a difference. Invariably, most heated gear brands will state the higher to tout that their numbers are better. The next question I get asked is, can you feel the wires? In today's heated motorcycle riding gear, you need to go try one on to answer that question for yourself. If you're asking me, the answer is no. I cannot feel the wiring at all. There is also two levels of heating gear. You have heating liners, such as a jacket, that I have up here, and they also have pants and socks and gloves. And they also, a lot of the good manufacturers, and there's only a couple, there's a plethora of the Chinese and Asian variant that come to this country that are very cheap, that you can buy on Amazon and places like that. You're going to get what you pay for. Do not buy those, I'm telling you. They will fail under the worst of circumstances. I'm here to tell you, I've had a couple of them fail on me going down the road, and I still had 8 hours to go, and the product crashed. So, on some of the lesser expensive heated gear, you will find them kind of basically as an afterthought put into like this Revit inside liner of my jacket, where it has the hollow fibers to trap the warm air. That's not what you want. You want as thin as possible so it's up against your skin, gets you heat directly to your body. Can heated gear burn you? The short answer is most definitely yes, it can. You put heated gear on its hottest setting and you put it on your skin, such as a jacket, and it has heating elements down in the arm over time, yes, you will get minor burns on your skin surface. So most of them recommend that you wear a long sleeve, thin shirt, and then have your heated gear over top of it. Now that's not the case when we talk about the heated base layer, which is basically like long johns that are heated, and that does go up against your skin, and it is designed to do so. That's why it uses less wattage than the heated liners. Like most good things that are available in the motorcycle industry, there's usually patents from the innovative people that design them. If you take a look at the patents at the lesser expensive ones, the Chinese inexpensive heated gear, they're all kind of following under the umbrella of these patents that were designed by companies that are innovative and produce the real deal. It is my opinion that if your product fails, you can look for no help under their patent laws that says this product's going to do what it's going to do. It's kind of sort of maybe under this umbrella of the patent. It's a bit of a reach, but most people would never push it that far. They'll get angry with it and throw it in the trash and go buy something else. I'm just telling you that when you beg, borrow, and steal from the industry of other people, you normally have a lesser product. So my personal experience, my first heated gear was a Gerbring, and I got that back in the 80s, and I used that one for pretty much 20 years till I quite frankly got too fat and I didn't fit in it. I used to be a tall drink of water, I'm not anymore. So I had to spring for some new gear. I went with another brand called OSI, I believe at the time. Again, the lesser expensive, made in China type thing. And I took a trip on my Moto Guzzi Grigio in the winter that was very far away, and I got caught in a terrible rainstorm, and water had seeped into my jacket and eventually got to the heated liner and gloves, and they both failed, and I had 8 hours to get home, and I was frozen solid by the time I get home. I wound up throwing it in the trash. I'm done. So what does Kraken use? I'm trying to keep this video short. I use Warm and Safe, and I use them for several different reasons. One of the things you need to look for when you're shopping for heated gear is how many elements does it have on it. Most of the elements that most of the lesser expensive companies only have 2 soldering points on the element, and they have less amount of elements to keep you warm. In the case of Warm and Safe, they have one here in your back and then one down here in the lower part of your back where the wind and cold tends to creep up your backside. You also have complete heating elements all the way down both arms. You have one here in the front and one on your tummy right here, again, that gets low down to your pelvic region. What most of them, where they normally skimp, is also having a heating element that goes all the way around your neck. So when I put this on and I cinch it all the way up to my neck, I have very little exposed skin under extreme conditions. So when I was riding my bike the other day, and I shared that picture with you, it was 32 degrees. I just put on my normal jacket that I wear all year long, and I put that underneath it Why? Because it doesn't have that filling. It is paper thin. It clings right to my skin and keeps me roasty toasty. In the case of Warm and Safe, they're operated by what they call, or their branding is called, a heat troller. It has two variants of this. They have a single one that just, let's say you want to have a heated jacket liner or base layer, you only need one, and you just adjust it like you would your thermostat on your heated blanket on your bed. This one has two because I also use gloves. You could also set it up to where if you had breeches or pants, you can set up dual zones to adjust the temperature accordingly. Your legs are exposed to the cold air, so you may need to up the heat as compared to a fully fairing bike, and you're hiding behind the fairing, you may need less heat on your jacket. Typically, those of us that ride in the winter have winter riding gloves. This is my OSI. I couldn't believe I still have it. This is heated gear, the crappy stuff I was talking about, but this particular glove is so thick and bulky that you lose all your dexterity to operate the controls on the motorcycle. So when I rethought it and I decided to go with another appropriate heating gear, and I went with Warm and Safe, I got the heated glove liners versus the gloves. These are made of silk, so they're really slick. They slide in and out really easy. I just wear deerskin gloves pretty much year round. The Warm and Safe heated glove liners that are silk have heating elements in between each finger, and your hands take the brunt of the cold wind blast. Now, it's not a big deal when you're only going out for a half-hour ride to pick up some groceries or something like that. It is a big deal when you have 12 hours ahead of you in Arctic conditions that are very cold. So I'm telling you, these are going to be a lifesaver. What I like about them is I can just slip in my standard riding glove that I use year-round, and I'm good to go. Because you have two layers, you're going to lose a little bit of dexterity, but nothing like these. So I would highly recommend you take a look at those. And it's kind of based on the same theory with these silk glove liners as the heated base liners. So you might want to take a look at Warm and Safe and see what they have. Other companies that are available, used to be iconic, was Gerbring. Gerbring, I think his name is Jeff, was the owner. And when he sold out, a company in North Carolina bought it, and there was a lot of beefing going on in the motorcycle community about them supporting their lifetime warranty on their gear, and they were not. I think that has evolved and changed, and I think they're doing better, and Gerbring is offering a lot better customer service and products than when they bought that company out, but it was a bit rocky road during that transition time from one owner to the other. So much to the point that the other family members of Gerbring that didn't buy the company from Jeff started their own company, and I'll put a link to them, but unfortunately due to COVID, they're constricted right out of the business right now because of supply issues and things of that nature. And when you run a small store and something like that happens, it's horrific. So hopefully they get up and rolling again. So again, competition makes having a variety good for all of us to choose from. Now, for fear of sounding like an infomercial for Warm and Safe, I'm not. I'm only sharing you what I have experience with. The fails, the wins, the fails that I have, Warm and Safe has been a huge win for me. Now, people that are very crafty, if you have a fully fairing bike, you can take these caps off, drill 2 holes, appropriate size holes, and mount this in your fairing of your bike, reinstall the caps and the lock nut washers on it, and on the fly, you can adjust your heat going down the road simply. It's operated by a Bluetooth signal right to your jacket. The only thing that hardwired is you have a small zipper on the inside liner, and a standard pigtail goes down and plugs right into your standard charging jack for like your battery tender. I'm not a fan of drilling holes and things of that nature on my bike, so what I normally do is I put some heavy duty Velcro on it, and I just stick it right on my bike somewhere behind the fairing, or actually on the fairing, so I can easily reach it. And when I go into a store, I can pull it off and just pop it in my pocket so it doesn't grow legs. So what does this setup cost? Warm and Safe runs sales, so I'm just going to talk about MSRP at this time. The heated jacket is $250. The single heat troller, I want to say, is like $110, $120, and the dual is $150. And if you want the silk gloves, that's another $90. So you're looking at, when it's not on sale, $490. Half a grand is a lot of money. Is it worth your money? Well, tell you what, add up all these base layers that I layer up and layer down, and what did I spend on them for good quality products? You're pretty darn near what I spent on the heated gear. I have the luxury of wearing this jacket, and it pretty much feels like you're just wearing a windbreaker. You don't have tons of padding. My silk liners just plug into a pigtail in each arm, and you plug it in, put it on, and you're off and rolling. I store my heated glove liners inside the pockets, along with the heat troller. They're always ready for me when I'm ready to go down the road. All I do is grab one item, this, and I'm good to go for my hands and body. So in conclusion, for me, it's about feeling comfortable and safe to operate the bike. I'm not dealing with bulky gloves, so I can still operate all the controls with confidence and by tactile feel. And having a thin layer, I don't feel like the Michelin tire man with all my layers in hopes that they're going to keep me warm going down the road. Shivering and being cold and fending that off will promote a less than desirable riding experience, and I would argue that it also dulls your ability to react to traffic and situations when you're on the bike, when you must devote 100% of your time to what's going on the road rather than trying to stay warm. The top reasons why I chose warm and safe to me, so take it with a grain of salt. When anybody does a review on YouTube or anything else, all it is an opinion. File it away in your research so you can make an educated decision on what works for you. What works for me may not work for you. So in my case with warm and safe, is they are more technical. There's a lot more technology in the heating elements, which at the very core is what where the rubber meets the road on keeping your body warm. 8 solder points on each element, 7 elements inside the garment, ensures that you're going to get complete coverage with no bare spots, durability for the long term. Like I did out of my gearing vest for 20 years, those elements aren't going to crack and split from bending, moving it around and things of that nature. I chose warm and safe because they have stretch panels on the sides, so when you put on the jacket, it clings to you and conforms to your body, and it is positively right up against your skin. So in the 2 or 3 years I've been using this particular heating gear, it has been stone cold reliable under the worst of conditions. It has generated more heat than anything else I have used, and was more comfortable to wear than any other heating garment that I tried on. I would highly recommend them. Give them a call. The owner's there. He'll pick up the phone and answer your questions. They have lovely staff that will help you out. Gerbring's is my second favorite. Check them out. They have some wonderful gear as well. And, where Warm and Safe doesn't offer a heated vest, I believe anymore, Gerbring's does. If that's your cup of tea, check them out. There's some other brands out there. My advice to you is don't go for that $200 variant that's made in China. You're going to get what you pay for. So I'm not beating up on China. I'm merely stating durability, longevity, and for the dollar. They're disposable items. And to all my end watchers, this week's shout out goes to Artist on a Harley. Her name is Bonnie. She has 53 videos out. She started out in November of 2020. Bonnie is rocking a 2016 Harley Davidson CVO Street Glide. Her riding partner and her husband, Peter, is rocking a 2018 Harley Davidson CVO Street Glide. I believe she is works in the medical field and is a frontline worker, so I tip my lid to you, Bonnie. Thank you for your service on that. She hails from Southern Ontario, Canada. Riding season for them is from May to November, so they've already hung up their spurs for this winter. They travel to the US every year for a 2-week trip. They fly to their destination and have their bikes ground shipped to wherever they're going. Bonnie is an artist at heart, so you can look forward to great photography, scenic views. She's very well spoken. Be sure to ask her. She always has licorice hidden in her left pocket. If you like Bonnie's content, be sure to like and subscribe to her channel. If you do, please let her know that Kraken sent you. And with that, there's my ghost dog, Bullet. He's here to tell me to wrap this video up. If you would like to be a Patreon, the link is down below. It would help support the channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more in the future, hit that subscribe button right down there in the corner. And remember, folks, go riding. It's good for you, and I'll see you in the next one.